written it all down, so I look forward to quote you. I have a question concerning plea bargaining. Plea bargaining.
Yes.
Is plea bargaining a reality, or does the prosecutor have the upper hand anyway? Does it work for the benefits of all parts, or how will you describe it as a kind of legal institution, or what to call it? Yeah, that's my question.
We keep him back, Katja.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks also for me. It was a very engaging lecture. I'm just wondering, I think it's a connection to the international dimension. I mean, the production of drugs, as you mentioned, is a really big business. So how do you imagine, what kind of impact would legalization in the Western world have on the third world countries that are producers of this drug? Would the United States, for example, then start buying drugs from the countries that are producing them, or where would the surplus of production then go? Would they find their own markets, or how? Because there is then great financial interests are invested in distribution from the poor countries of the world to the richer ones. And what would happen with these groups that are involved in this? How do you envision the effects of legalization?
Two clear questions, and you get the third also before you are allowed to say anything.
Okay.
Thank you for coming here. And I'm so glad that you're pointing out the difference between decriminalization and legalization, because if we just decriminalize, I think we will do something with a few users in our own country. It's about where we live. If we legalize, we can, save the world. We can have another approach towards the farmers in different countries. We can start to buy things from them, control and regulate all the way. And we can stop most of the wars, most of the mafias, most of the terror, most of the hostile business that's going on today. So I think it's so important that we talk about it, and your view about the difference between decriminalization and legalization, because we will maybe now go for a decriminalization in a few years. And I'm so glad we didn't decriminalize that men could have sex with men in 1972, because then it would be illegal again, I think, because when you decriminalize, it should be just a little political change. Then it's illegal again, and then it's criminalized again. So you have to make this big step. When we know that this kind of repressive politics is not good for anyone, then we have to just change the system and do it in another way to gain control.
Thanks for this. Now you have your chance.
Okay. Plea bargaining, is it beneficial to all? No, absolutely not. It's certainly not beneficial to anybody that has to deal with plea bargaining because they've been arrested. Think of what I said there earlier about how many people we were bringing into the system so quickly. And now it's up to 1.9 million people a year. Our court system could not survive if even 3% of those people contested the case. It would clog our courts, it would be all over. So we have to have plea bargaining. And the plea bargain simply means that no longer do judges sentence people. The people that sentence people are the prosecutors. And they sentence them by whatever plea they cause these people to plead to. The plea itself mandates the sentence because our sentences are mandatory minimums. So judges have nothing to do with this, and let me tell you, judges are really pissed. They really are, and they rightfully so. They should be. This has just taken everything away from them. So does that explain what plea bargaining? So it's all for the state, it's nothing for the people. The second question, what impact would legalization have on developing countries? I think this ties into what your question also. I think it would change everything around the world. New York Times last week had a big article in it showing Marines walking through poppy fields in Afghanistan and suggesting that we can no longer try to destroy those fields, because every time we destroy a field, the farmer turns to the Taliban. There's a much better way to do it, but in order to do that, you've got to legalize drugs. But suppose we legalize drugs and then we allowed the farmers to grow poppies, and we bought them from them. According to the World Health Organization, 80% of the people in the world live in developing countries. And those countries either can't afford or have no access to pain medicine. And the World Health Association suggested that if we were to allow people to grow these poppies and then we bought this stuff and supplied it to developing countries for their doctors to prescribe to people with chronic pain, back injuries, people dying from cancer and AIDS, people that need this pain medicine, we gave it to them very cheap or even for nothing. It would benefit those people, it would benefit the farmers who would still have a subsistence living, and if the drugs were legal, it wouldn't be a situation where they're growing some for us and some for the illegal market, because there would be no illegal market. And also the World Health Organization says that if we were to do that, we would need about twice as much opium as is produced in Afghanistan. So this could also affect the farmers in Colombia and maybe in Mexico that are doing this. So that's the reason we can't stop them, by the way, is they have nothing to replace this, because they don't have any roads there to get the regular products to market before they spoil. You know, there's no spoilage in opium.
Yes.
The last question. Last question had to do with decriminalization and how bad that is, and I agree it's bad. And two of the main reasons, and we don't want decriminalization. When you decriminalize, what you're doing is you're saying the law still says this is illegal, but we're going to decriminalize. So what decriminalize usually means is that you're giving discretion to the police officer whether to arrest or not. Okay? And we know that when you give discretion to the police officer, at least in my country, people that get arrested are people with a little darker skin. And in most countries, it's the people who are the immigrants. So this just causes a worse problem to me by discretion. And it also causes a disrespect for law. If a law is bad, throw the damn thing out. Don't tell the police to just look the other way, you know? So that's my answer.
We should actually stop exactly at this second. But we could take the privilege of 5 minutes overtime. Are we able to survive that?
Certainly.
He's able. I didn't observe all the hands, but those most desperate not to have said anything can make an internal competition. You are most desperate.
Now, I just wondered, just a quick question. I grew up in New Jersey myself, and I have a family that work in the pharmaceutical industry and in the medical industry. What kind of response are you getting from these powerful people? I mean, these are people with enormous clout.
Well, they're really against this.
I can imagine. Yeah, but
Tremendously against this.
Is there any opening there? Is there any exceptions that people think that, you know, with a social conscience?
I don't think there's openings there. I think they're one of the next to the drug lords. They want to keep this stuff illegal more than anybody, and the main reason isn't because of the hard drugs, because they could actually maybe make some money on that. I wouldn't want them to, but they could. But the point for them is if marijuana is legalized, it will replace a couple hundred of their drugs that they sell for these huge prices. And if marijuana